Welcome to the Writer's Den. My name is Jane Waters Thomas, and today we're going to be talking to the next generation of writers that are going to be writing what we want to read in the very near future. And with us is our instructor, John Davis. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
And Julexiua Ellis. She's a sophomore at Henderson School for the Arts, also creative writing.
Yes, I am.
Welcome, ma'am. And Tyler Henderson, senior at Harrison School for the Arts.
On my way out.
Yeah, creative writing, right? So you guys are the creative writing team for Harrison. How fun is that?
A lot of fun. We just got done publishing our literary magazine for this year, and it is fabulous. Its title is Lingo, and this is the second year we've done it, but it is the first year we have had a product that is such high quality, and that is partially to the credit of Tyler, who was one of our executive editors, and Julexiua, who also has assisted in the literary magazine production.
How exciting. So Tyler, the executive editor, that's kind of a big deal.
I was one of the executive editors. I worked closely with my fellow seniors, Emily Dunson and Dee Gillingham. We're the three that make up
Right?
the three that make up the senior class, you know. So, and Emily was really a fundamental part of that whole team. She's really organized and knows how to handle pressure like that.
That's exciting. Yeah, very cool. Julexiua, where did the name Lingo come from?
Actually, I'm not sure where lingo came from. I think that's more of the journalism and junior and senior area, so I can't really tell you.
So you're the sophomore
Right.
coming in, you're the brilliant new mind as all of the senior minds begin to exit. So what has been your experience in working on this publication?
My experience has been, I think, very interesting to say the least, because in my class we mostly review some of the written pieces that are published in the magazine, such as a freshman piece entitled Bleached Eyes. It was a poem, and basically we just reviewed some of the works that were published and just really analyzing them to get a better understanding of what the student was trying to portray in that piece of work.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that is intensive work that you were doing.
Right.
You know that, right? That's how you're making it to LEAP this summer, is that
Right,
correct?
it is.
Wonderful. So, Mr. Davis, tell us a little bit about what the creative writing class is at Harrison, how that flows out into the community, and what your students experience. Now, that's a lot of information in one question, but if we can kind of gel that together to create sort of a story that explains well what your guys and gals are doing.
That's what we do.
That's it, right?
Yeah, this is actually our second year in existence. The creative writing program began last year during the 2014-2015 school year, and at that time we had about 30 students. This year we had roughly 40, and so we're growing along and along. Our presence in the community is really one of our strong points, I believe, because there are a lot of things we participate in. As an example, earlier this year, a lot of our students took part in the Sister Cities International writing competition, and we had many of our students who won awards and then also had their work displayed in the Harrison Art Gallery as part of that celebration. One of the other things that we typically do in the community is open mics. We have a really positive relationship with Platform Art Forum there in Lakeland, and they've been kind enough to open up their space to not only Harrison-sponsored and Harrison-styled events, but also to independent student-led events. I have a student right now whose name is Malia, and she and a friend have been integral in getting students together just to go and kind of do their own thing, to express themselves through their writing in a less formal environment. Aside from those two events, some of our other presences, I guess you would say, in the community include places like the Lakeland Center. They've been kind enough to allow us to inform the public who happen to be attending different events about our literary magazine and about our program, and so that's been very productive as well. As the program grows and as it increases, one of the things we'll be looking toward is making more of those community partnerships. I know for a fact that a lot of our parents in the program have offered various opportunities, and we'll be seizing those as the program continues in years ahead. Aside from that little bit of information, I think perhaps the thing that makes Harrison's creative writing program very unique and unlike any others is the breadth of work that we do. We do fiction, we do nonfiction, we do poetry. But then in addition to that, as Julexiua will tell you, we like to provide real-world writing opportunities.
Right.
Things like public relations, advertising, journalism, marketing. And by doing that, it prepares our students not only for kind of the literary realm, but also for a more communications-based future, where, as an example, Tyler is going to be a communications major.
Wonderful.
And he can tell us a little bit more about that. But I like to think that our program, beyond, just writing the fantastical or writing the creative, also emphasizes skills that will pay off well beyond high school and even college.
Absolutely, and that's absolutely what I was going to ask you, Tyler, as the senior in the group today, getting ready to launch out into the world. Tell me how this creative writing program has prepared you to go out into the world.
mean, like he said, I'm actually going to pursue a communications major, which is largely writing. A lot of the classes I'll be taking, because I've previewed some of it, will be stylized to help me write better, to formulate ads or mass communication, even social media, things like that. And honestly, it's not just the creative writing program. Harrison, just as a place, has influenced me so much, because they make you pick a major so you can focus on something and develop those skills, but also there are influences from all over the place. This year I took a piano class, a composition class, a film class, and did an extracurricular choral ensemble, all with my creative writing classes. And I think that was important in making my decision for college, is because one of the reasons I'm pursuing a communications major is because I want to enter the music industry in some way. And obviously there are a lot of unrealistic ways to enter the music industry, and then there are more realistic options like public relations. I think I would really enjoy that. So that's sort of what I'm pursuing.
I love what I'm hearing, realistic and unrealistic, and that you're comparing those two, because boy,
you always have an
aren't you right.
unrealistic plan on the back burner.
Yeah. So do you feel that the influence from your mentors, which would maybe be your upperclassmen before you were a senior, and then maybe your instructors, have helped you kind of just guide you in the right direction for what you wanted? Or do you feel like you kind of sat down one day and went, man, this is all really great stuff, and I'm headed toward the music industry?
Well, I'm a mess, but in the best way. So it wasn't really like I sat down and said, wow, I really know myself as a person and what I want. And I don't think it was so directional as seeing it being like the senior class before me, but just the community as a whole. When you're around a lot of great musicians, a lot of great artists, great writers, it all sort of has an impact on you, just as a collective environment.
For sure, absolutely it does. So Julexiua, tell me, what is the most important part of the creative writing program to you?
Wow, to me, I guess I could say this year with the introduction of the open mic nights, it's just been a really amazing experience, just because prior to that, I had never, gone to an open mic event that I hadn't seen in a movie or something like that. So I just think that seeing my fellow classmates get up there and just perform, it's a great experience, because the transparency and how genuine they are when they deliver what they have to say, it's kind of gratifying, There's a sense of fulfillment knowing that, just from writing on a piece of paper and your delivery of it and how it can affect people even after you're done performing. It's just amazing to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Mr. Davis, thinking about the open mic night and what you guys do with Platform Art and what a brilliant organization they are. They do so many wonderful things over there. I know that you've been on the other side of the county doing some poetry nights and some different things. Are those also student related? Because now you yourself are an author, a writer, a poet, you're an instructor, you're an educator. I mean, you have really met with great success in your career in writing. But as an instructor at Harrison, are those opportunities, how important are those opportunities for you as an instructor for your students?
The opportunities so far in Lakeland have really been integral to getting our students exposed to just a small piece of the larger literary culture. Again, as the program grows, we're going to want to go outside those boundaries. We're going to want to explore places, perhaps like Zora Neale Hurston's home there in Eatonville, and various and sundry other opportunities as well. One of my kind of long-term goals is perhaps for us to go see, as an example, Ernest Hemingway's house in the Keys, and the Robert Frost cottage that also happens to be there. And those kinds of goals, those kinds of objectives are things that I believe will come with more time, and the more we get the word out, the more available those opportunities will become. As far as local opportunities are concerned, we are interested in getting more of an emphasis toward East Polk. Lakeland has been wonderful. It has, and continues to be wonderful for our students as far as a performance venue is concerned, and as far as getting their writing in front of an appreciative audience is concerned. What we'd like to do now is look, as you were saying, at places like Winter Haven and over toward the east side of the county, so that our program can reach a wider geographic area as well. Lots of our students come from places that are not necessarily Lakeland, and their hometowns and their communities are equally deserving of excellent literary opportunities, and so we're looking more into that as the program develops.
So as you can hear, Mr. Davis is talking about how creative writing is expanding from an instructional standpoint. But I want to ask both of you the very same question, and that is, how has your writing developed since you've been a part of the creative writing process? Because just as he as an instructor has to develop the program so that you have the opportunities to become greater and better writers, you two are developing along the way. So I will start with Julexiua first. And so the question was, how do you feel your writing has developed through your creative writing experience at Harrison?
Well, coming into the program as a freshman last year, being the first year of the program, I think that my writing has definitely matured. It has allowed me to go out of my comfort zone from character development. Mr. Davis actually gave us all a list of like things that we need to work on to better ourselves as writers. I'm also taking a screenwriting class this year, which has also forced me to go out of my comfort zone and examine what it really means to me to be a writer. What am I really trying to say when I put a pen to paper, or even when I'm, writing on my laptop? Like, what am I really trying to say? So I think that as I continue to grow within the program, that my writing will mature as I mature, and as I focus on what it is that I really want to do with my writing career. So that's what I think.
That's exciting. So if I said to you, so what do you want to do with your writing career, Julexiua?
Well, actually, I plan on following the same track as Tyler, minus the rapping part, which he's pretty good at that. But I also, I plan on going into public relations. I love to write. I always have. Some things are good and some things are bad, but it's a growing process. And I feel like this program has been beneficial to me with learning how to conduct myself as a writer, and the things that I will need to do to be able to succeed in that, because I feel that this is just a building block, with the different personalities in the classroom, the different styles, just the different angles. It's all just, it's a really like a Pandora's box to me.
Absolutely. It's kind of fun though, isn't it?
It is. At times.
At times. So Tyler, I'm going to pose the same exact question to you, and just to refresh that, it was, how do you feel your writings developed through your creative writing experience at Harrison?
It was more of an attitudinal shift, I think. I entered in my junior year, so it's been around for 2 years now, and that year, when I was, I noticed this mainly when I was preparing, looking back, I thought of writing more as like the communication of information. It's like strictly like that. And when I say that, I don't mean in a cold sense, like like as you think of most nonfiction, or like reading a cereal box where it says there's this list of ingredients and I want you to know these ingredients, so let me put these down. Not exactly like that, but if I were to say describe this setting we were in, I would think about like, okay, what did the walls look like? Where was the plant? What did you do with your face? Things like that don't necessarily make for a bad reading experience, but this year my entire perspective changed because previously I hadn't really experimented much with poetry, but this year that was one of my classes, so it's time to step up, you know. So, and as we went through all of that, I really think I became aware of the sound of the language more, and like it changed entirely how I thought about it. Now that's actually primarily what I focus on. Whenever I write something, I think, how is this going to be read?
Right, exactly.
So I've actually ended up, like, with technology changes so much, sometimes when I write, I will use my phone to dictate. So I'll just have Siri listen and I'll just tell her what I want to be on the page. And
Technology is a good thing, Tyler.
It
We
is.
love technology. So let's talk a little bit about lyrical poetry.
okay.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about how you got into rapping, because Julexiua told on you.
Yeah, this is a new thing. This came this year with the poetry, because I mean, most people, when you think about rap music, you think about the sort of things you'd find on the radio, and that's not a good representation. That's all about, you know, I'm going to the club tonight, and we're going to spend all of our money. We're going to do at least 3 drugs, and it's going to be a great time. And that's like a really bad face for the entire art form, I think. And you contrast that with spoken word, which isn't the same as rap, but it's very similar. It's about the sound, it's about the emotion. You're conveying something, and usually when people do spoken word, when people do rap, like real rap, it's important. They feel that a lot, and that really inspired me a lot. It was the sound of the music, and like, and when you have a good message, I think those are both really important. So I've been experimenting with that this year, and also I have a background as a musician, so it was kind of a natural thing to
Yeah,
flow
so you're
into.
doing beats, you're making your own music,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody close to you
Well,
is helping you with it.
Yeah, I spent the first 2 years I was in high school, not at Harrison. I was in an audio production academy producing music. So I have that background, and then 3 years ago I began beatboxing. So I have
That's fun.
I've all the little pieces have lined up in my life to put me to a place where I can hopefully make something that can inspire somebody.
That's exciting. So if there were a mainstream rap artist that you have a particular fondness to, their words, who would it be?
I like both Chance the Rapper and Macklemore because they both have such a different perspective, and like it's the contrast between, like, you know, the sort of thug rap you would think of and something a little more holy, I guess. Chance is really inspired by like his family and his city and his religion, and that's really important. And Macklemore isn't afraid to say, do a song attacking the pharmaceutical industry when they abuse their power. Things like that actually mean something. That's important.
Wonderful. So Julexiua, tell me what your favorite genre is. What's your favorite thing to do when you sit down and read?
Primarily, I like fiction, realistic fiction. I would say that, like Tyler was saying about, you know, the mainstream artists that he likes, I honestly believe that when I do sit down and read, I kind of think of it not necessarily from a writer's perspective all the time like I should, because I'm reading to enjoy myself, but I find myself now questioning the books that I'm reading, because I'm thinking about, does it actually add value to my life, and am I getting something out of it? And I feel that, you know, growing up within the Polk County school system, we had AR, and of course we read for points, and you know, I enjoyed reading growing up as a child, but I really don't have enough time to read. So
Time to sleep.
between AP classes and things of that nature. So when we do read short stories in class that are realistic fiction, like we just read this story about a woman who is asked to dance by a man, and it's basically told from her perspective because he steps on her feet, and he's clumsy and he smells bad. So I really enjoy reading the short stories in class when we have time, and every Friday we just finished a piece about history is present. So we did what did we do? We did narratives about history. So I enjoy hearing my classmates read. I enjoy reading different authors, but really I don't have time to read.
That is a very honest answer, and definitely not just the workload at Harrison, but in the Polk County school system, as you mentioned,
Right.
they are reading. Our workloads are pretty brutal for our students, but there's reasons for that because then they win awards when
Right.
they actually do them, right? So let's talk about some of the achievements that the two of you have had and awards. So I'm going to put you on the spot, but before I do that, I'm going to ask Mr. Davis to talk to us about some of the important awards that students can receive. That gives you plenty of time to think about this. The awards that you would think as an instructor that students really want to focus on, like these are the ones you want to get.
Whenever we get together at the very beginning of the year, excuse me, we talk about the importance of publication. Not necessarily as an end to why they're writing in the first place, because we write to write, but by the same token, one of the things that we really want students to think about is where does your writing fit? What kind of markets, what kind of magazines, what kind of publications are going to be well suited to what it is that you have written? Because while yes, we write to write, we also consider our audience and we consider our purpose. And by getting published, that in and of itself is a form of reward. We had 30 students out of 40 this year who were published in various magazines and anthologies and other venues, which is a pretty good percentage. As a matter of fact, just recently we were informed by Creative Communication, which is a company that publishes the Poetic Power Anthology and a few others. They only accept 45% of student submissions to begin with, and of the 20 students that we had who submitted this year, 17 were accepted and published by them, which then allowed us to be named as a program of poetic achievement, which that was really nice. But that's one example of kind of an award or a reward that students get when they're in the creative writing program. Other more formal awards, I've recently been encouraging our students to enter things like the Rattle Young Poets Anthology Competition. Rattle is a stellar literary magazine that is focused primarily on poetry. But in addition to that, of course, we have other awards, regional awards. Tyler will tell you about the Polk County Poetry Awards and that sort of thing, probably. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but there's that. In addition, we also have students who enter competitions that are sponsored by magazines specifically for student writers like Teen Ink. At the beginning of the year, we had a whole host of students who had their work published in Teen Ink magazine, because that's a good starter market. Mm-hmm. It's a good place for students to get their feet wet, if you will. And then from there, they can certainly take a look at other markets and more competitive and more prestigious markets as their writing develops and as their voice develops as well. Honestly, the awards that are given out for writing and that kind of thing, they're not necessarily our primary objective. They're nice. But at the end of the day, the real reward for our students is being able to communicate in a way that is clear and concise and coherent and all of those traits that we want good writing to reflect.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we know what his thoughts are and what his direction is, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to know is what you guys have achieved so far. So we're going to start with you, Tyler, since you're the senior.
Okay.
Okay.
Since we have a lead-in.
There you go.
Well, he already mentioned the Polk County Poetry Contest. It's PCCTE, Polk County Council of Teachers of English. They wanted a nice sounding acronym,
Yeah,
I suppose.
right.
And that's a contest you submit through your teacher, through your school, and everything is read by, I don't know if it's specifically a third party, but certainly not your own teacher. And they make judgments and pick the best poems, and then they produce a themed anthology at the end of the contest and have a little ceremony where they call you up on stage and they do first place, second place, third place, and honorable mentions for each grade level, that sort of thing. And then you get a copy of the anthology. And actually, Emily Dunson, Dee Gillingham, and I, all three of us, were in that. Let's see, Dee was first place, I remember that. I was second place, and Emily, I don't remember. I think she's honorable mention, but she was up on stage with us, I know that much.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, so Julexiua, awards.
Well, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily call it an award, but my two biggest accomplishments this year was the open mic night that was held at Platform Art Forum on April 1st with spoken word artist out of Orlando, Wallow Jones. He was a phenomenal, act, and after I was done reading, I got the chance to speak with him, and he was just telling me about, he loved, the way that I put words together, because that's what he said. And I just thought that was just a phenomenal compliment, because
Absolutely.
It's so amazing to hear somebody say that has been in the industry longer than you and that can perform their poems and work without, a phone or a piece of paper, just right out of their head. And I would say the other one would be being accepted to the LEAP Foundation summer program this summer, where I will be in July at UCLA, staying there for a week, and where I will be, learning how to develop my communication and networking skills, which will help me as I, grow and eventually become a communications major specializing in public relations. So, and the fact that Mr. Davis thought that would be a perfect fit for me, and that was awesome.
That is wonderful. So I'm just going to kind of wrap things up by saying, what do you hope to achieve in the world with your talent? And we're going to start with Julexiua. We're going to cut you a break this time, Tyler.
Wow.
What do you want to achieve with your talents?
Wow, that's a very difficult question, but what I hope to achieve, I hope to, like Tyler said, I hope to inspire people with my work, in different ways, and going into public relations and communicating with people and building my networking skills and just developing relationships, not only through personal contact, but through my writing. I think that's just so powerful, because words they're just amazing.
Yes,
I just really hope to use this, and I'm so glad that I've been able to get through the program thus far, because I feel like it's just honed my skills. And like I said, with the different styles and different angles and the different personalities, you're just exposed to so much, especially with the introduction of the guest speakers like Aja Monet, Lola Haskins, Peter Meinke. It's just been an amazing experience, and I can't wait to come back and just be like, you know what, I did that. I was here.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so Tyler.
All right, well, one of the main reasons I chose a communications major, other than like the writing involved and the job opportunities, is because I just really like people. And so I think that's probably what's most important to me. That's the thing I want to achieve with my writing. I want to connect to people. And if I can do that, I think I'll be happy.
Outstanding. Mr. Davis, thank you so much for bringing your students here today to talk with us on Writers Den. What a fresh perspective to what's about to happen in the world with our new writers as they launch out of Harrison and into public relations and the music industry. And I desperately need to hear you rap now, Tyler. So, so I just want to thank you guys for coming today and being on the Writers Den. Again, thank you, Tyler Henderson.
Thank you.
Julexiua Ellis.
Thank you.
And Mr. John Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Writers Den. My name is Jane Waters Thomas. Join us again.